That's off of their report.
Yeah, but you're really comparing apples and oranges to the first issue of the contribution rate. The contribution rate has to do with the county's liability, so it has absolutely nothing to do with the report that's in front of us. That's a liability that we have that has yet to be addressed. It's the 10% that's been taken off the table, if you will, with respect to the pension obligation bonds, the 90% indebtedness of which we are in compliance with our repayment. But that's only the 90%. What the board did in its action is address the 10% that has not been heretofore addressed, that we have as a debt to the retirement system. It's solely the responsibility of the employer. The employees have always paid their full contribution rate. So in a sense, the county has borrowed against its contributions to the retirement system for basically operating expenses historically. And so what the board did was take a corrective action to put that into an encapsulated fund that we will continue to pay it, I believe, something like 0.75% per year for 11 years to pay back the monies to the system that are basically owed. So that's a debt that we have. So it really is something that we need to step up and do, and it really has nothing to do with the report that's before us, which is the actual accounting of the retirement system and its investments and its fiscal solvency. The point that the board took with that action was addressing our lack of fulfilling our obligation, which is that we are required to have 100% funding going forward to support the commitments we've already made to the retirement system. And if there are any other clarifications with respect to the salary and the item in front of us for the retirement administrator, perhaps we can delay this discussion and have our interim retirement administrator come and address the board. Our CEO, Mr. Mitchell, has been involved with this process. I think the salary is set at $125,000, which is really actually far below what you usually see for a position of this type, and we'll probably have difficulty recruiting even at that salary level. I think the total package there is including benefits, but $125,000 is unfortunately what the bottom line is in terms of a recruitment that is going to need to be successful to replace our retirement administrator, who's working on an interim basis, which is Mr. Knudsen, who we all know. And he has been willing to fill in as the interim for a number of months. But you know, if the board needs more information, I want to make sure that the facts are reported as the facts. And the way that you combine that information, I don't think is factual. You took a leap from one piece of information to another, and I think there's a disconnect there. So if the chair thinks it's advisable, we should have Mr. Knudsen here, and we should have Mr. Mitchell, and we should have a more substantive discussion on the two issues.
Supervisor Pinchas.
First of all, they're not my facts. They're a matter of this report that was presented to us. I just stated the fact, and there's no obligation. There's an obligation that the county, that the retirement system has to pay for the unfunded liability, but we don't have to pre-fund go from the 90% to the 100%. That's the only point I was making. That in tight economic times, when the retirement system increased over $21 million in this last year, that I didn't feel that they needed the extra $400,000 that this board contributed this a month ago. That's just a fact. That's just a statement that I'd like to make.
Okay, thank you. So what's the action of the board? What do we want to do with the regular consent calendar?
Approve it. So moved.
So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded for the regular consent calendar for approval. All items. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. Passes unanimously. Let's take up the water agency consent calendar. Any items to be polled or discussed for the water agency consent calendar? Otherwise, I'll receive a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Discussion. All those in favor of the water agency consent calendar say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Passes unanimously.
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. The expenditure of $57,010 for the engineering support service support phase 1 of the Scout Lake Dam, I really think it's the kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. I think it's a real start on solving our short time short-term Mendocino County water shortages needs to get these jurisdictions out of the moratorium status that I think everybody totally supports. It's not going to relieve any area issues of conservation, and because we're in dry years, but this will give us some more water, some more physical water, not paper water, but real physical water.
Thank you, Supervisor. Air Quality Management District consent calendar. We have a off-agenda, I believe, substitute item. Any discussion from board members in regards to how this came about, substitution, et cetera? Or do you want to hear from the district manager? Or just move to the clerk?
Just for clarification, we're asking that item number 1 on that consent calendar be withdrawn in its entirety, and the substitution of the off-agenda item, and item number 2 as presented.
Okay. As directed from the chair, item number 1 will be withdrawn, substituted with this off-agenda item. What's the action of the board?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Supervisor Delbar by Supervisor Pinches. Any discussion to the item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, item carries unanimously. Thank you very much.